Raph for TCGplayer.com. Today I'm gonna walk you through a game I played at the last Pro Tour at round 4 of Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan against Paulo Vitor da Rosa. You may have seen it. It was linked in my last article when I was talking about white-blue control. It's a pretty long game. It's 50 minutes plus extra turns. It's very interesting. So I'm gonna walk you through this game, and I'm gonna add my my commentaries. So I hope you enjoyed it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Simon, how these two decks interact.
So this is round 4 of Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan in Bilbao, and I'm playing against PV, and I don't know what he's playing. I have a pretty good opener, except probably against Storm, and I don't know what he's playing. And he's playing blue-red, but Storm does not usually play Scalding Tarn, so he's either playing Death Shadow or just Sky Control. So he's going to fetch a blue-red land, a Steam Vent, I think. And at this point I still don't know if he's a Grixis Shadow or just Sky Control.
The same cannot be said for Paulo Vitor da Rosa. It'll be interesting to see how these later turns play out given these subtle differences.
Yeah, and
but I'm gonna know very soon.
To play Spreading Seas in his two-color deck, whereas usually the Jeskai control decks don't find space for that card.
Spreading Seas, on the face of things, turning lands into islands against.
I have a Logic Knot in my hand, and I cannot actually cast that and draw a fetch land to be able to force spike the first spell to Logic Knot for 1. So PV plays Search for Azcanta, and from what people said in the chat or when they were reading when they were watching this game, was that Search was going to be game. Like he was so ahead when he plays Search that I would not be able to make up for it. So I wrote in my article the difference between Ancestral Visions and Search for Azcanta. The reason why I played Ancestral Vision was that it actually gives you card advantage in this particular matchup, and other matchups too, but especially in Control Mirrors, Search for Azcanta doesn't really give you card advantage because scrying for 1 is gonna get you rid of your useless cards, but you don't actually have that many useless cards. Sure, you can scry down, not scry down, but like mill your Supreme Verdicts that are not always interesting to have in hand, but you will want your lands in your hand. You don't want to mill all your lands, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. He's gonna just put lands in his graveyard. These are fetches, so it's okay, but at some point he's gonna put land and active cards in his graveyard just to flip it and have Spreading Seas and Field of Ruins to take care of Azcanta. So I'm not exactly worried about it. It's a big deal for a lot of people, but I was not exactly worried. I just have Field of Ruins, 2 Field of Ruins at this point. So not a big problem. And I draw a Detention Sphere. So he's playing Control, and I don't really have targets for a Detention Sphere, so might as well just play it now. I just said Search was not a big deal, but that's also a reason why it's not a big deal. I don't really want to give him an extra land because of the Field of Ruins, so that's why I did the Detention Sphere. There's very little chance I'm gonna be able to do that on the Snapcaster Mage, and even if that was the case, I would not want to do it, because if he cryptics the Detention Sphere, then he gets another trigger of Snapcaster Mage. So now you get the reason why Ancestral Visions is a little more powerful than, not more powerful, but has more utility than Sphinx's Revelation. So it resolves during my upkeep. That means I was able to protect it with a Logic Knot. Sphinx Revelation, you usually tap out during your opponent's turn, and you can't back it up. At this point, pay 2 blue and exile Ventilate from my graveyard, and I was able to back my Ancestral Vision. So this is a pretty interesting decision. So should I hit the Steam Vent or the Hallowed Fountain? So Jeskai has a few ways to win, which is usually Burn and Celestial Colonnades and some Snapcaster Mages. It's arguable that was the right decision. Maybe hitting the red was better, but there's a chance I can hit all the white and he's not ever to activate the Celestial Colonnades or pass to exile my Colonnades, which is one of the ways to get rid of my attackers. And also I was worried, I didn't know if he was playing Gaze of Centraft. So in doubt, I prefer to hit the white mana. And also I knew what he had in hand. I knew he only had a Lightning Helix, so I was not exactly worried about the burn at this point yet. So that's the reason why I was gonna hit the white land. At this point I'm on a pretty healthy life total, and I'm gonna keep hitting the white mana. So this is one of the weird part of this match, what follows now. So I target Spreading Seas, I target Hallowed Fountain with Spreading Seas, and I'm about to draw. So he takes white mana, and usually that's what you do in that cases when your opponent has mana floating and you want the mana to go away. You declare your attack step. So it was a little strange, I have to say, because I felt like I messed up, but actually I was about to draw, so I didn't miss the trigger. I was a little confused at this point, and PV argued that I entered my attack step, so I forgot the trigger. But I did not actually forget the trigger. As soon as it's on the stack and I recognized the draw part was on the stack, I had to draw. So we called the judge, and the judge ruled exactly that way because I was about to draw. It was on the stack, it was about to be resolved, and I was actually not supposed to enter my attack step. It was supposed to resolve first. So that's exactly what the judge is going to rule. I understand PV's point in trying to like having me not draw the card, but it's also in the rules for me to draw. If I didn't show that I was about to draw the card, then that would have been totally legit, and I would have not drawn the card. But but that's what the argument is about. So I get to draw the card. That was Rune Halo. It did put the game in a different vibes at this point. We were only 10 minutes in, and I knew it was gonna be a long battle. I had played this game before, this matchup before, and I know it usually goes the distance. You usually don't get to play game 2 or 3. Yeah, I'm still on 16. He's on 19, and I'm gonna have a lot of. It's gonna take a while for me to kill him. I might even end up being me milling him.
A lot of burn spells to take him even close to being killed off that way.
It is a path to victory, though. If you draw these burn spells anyway, you do have to do something with them, and especially 3-damage burn spells are not particularly good at dealing with Celestial Colonnades. So
I don't actually want to play my my Rune Halo yet, for no particular reason. I could have played it this turn. And one of the things with these games is that you have to take decisions very fast. The small decisions very fast. And you might see now that I have 6, 7, 8 lands, but it's when you play, it's hard to see that you actually have 8 or 9 mana. That means you don't really know if you'll be able to play other spells.
Does have a victory condition which does not rely on
so for now, Rune Halo, I might just keep it and see what happens next, and see if I really need to play it, and if I have a better target than Bolt or Helix. That will probably be, that's likely to be what I'm gonna call. But maybe he has another win condition, and maybe I run out of Field of Ruins or Pass to Exile for his Colonnades.
That can just end the game almost in one fell swoop.
Exactly, and on the other hand, Raph is playing 2 Gideons.
So he returns my Detention Sphere, and I'm actually pretty happy with that. I don't care about the Search of Azcanta, and I'm very happy he plays a Cryptic Command. I don't want him to hold too many counters because I only have 5 in the deck, and in a counter battle I would lose. And the more of these he has, the less chances I have to actually counter anything. So I'm also very happy he gets to flip his thing. Now, I think I could have, at this point I could have Field of Ruin his Azcanta, because he scryed on top, so felt like that was a little misstep here. Since he scryed on top, I knew that was a card he wanted to keep, so he'll misstep from me.
Finds himself an Electrolyze with the mana to cast it. And I guess that
so we get to fetch yet another land. And the thing is, at some point he won't have enough basic lands to fetch. The white-blue deck I played had 9 basic lands, and it's likely that PV only has 4 or between 4 and 6, and he doesn't have a mountain either. So I also have the option to go for the red mana at some point. And he burns me again.
Or be safe from Ghost Quarter, but of course in such a drawn out matchup you can run.
Now I have my Detention Sphere in hand. That's likely not going to do much. So now I have all the freedom to play my Rune Halo.
So along comes a Rune Halo here. We'll see whether or not there's any kind of a fight from Palavito Damarosa on this one.
So my plan is to shut down all the burn spell at this point, because I don't think I'm gonna be hit by creatures anymore, since my hand is well, Condemn, Pass to Exile, Supreme Verdict. Creatures are not gonna hit me unless not even Guest of Sentry, because I have Supreme Verdict now.
I don't love it in this matchup. I do, however, like the idea of
so Electrolyze.
Burning out Levy. Just,
so now PV realized that his option was going to be to burn me.
Levy should probably name a burn spell now.
And I think I'm calling Lightning Helix on this one.
He just double checked the graveyard there, and I presume that was him getting a count on how many of different various burn spells he'd seen. Obviously, if there was one that he suspected there were more copies of left in the deck, that would be the straightforward one.
Here's
to
another
so
bolt.
Cast a mage, even those calculations can get a little bit tricky. Lightning bolt off the top for Palavito Damarosa.
So the problem now is I'm going to get pretty low on life, and I don't really have ways to interact with the other burn spells if I don't have my Rune Halos. Now I shut down Lightning Helix, and I'm gonna shut down Lightning Bolt.
This is all the copies of Rune Halo left in his deck, but
if I had targeted the red mana, I would probably have won earlier. Or I would have stabilized with a lot more life. But I didn't know he was going to draw so many burn spells, and I would not draw any of my colonnades at this point.
So, if we're now in a position where and as it appears to be.
But now I should be safe for a while. Now he's going to try to bounce my Rune Halos to be able to burn me. But I have something up my sleeves, and you will see that soon enough.
You want to rely on your celestial colonnades? I don't think that's a viable strategy, because Levy's amount of answers to your 3 celestial colonnades are just vastly outnumber your threats. You're still looking at, I believe, 2 more Field of Ruins and probably 2 more Spreading Seas. So that's 4 more answers. We haven't even talked about the 4 paths.
Alright, so now he
in Levy's deck. So no, I don't think you can win with Celestial Colonnades. So either you find a burn plan that works, or we're talking about.
So he Logic Knots my second Rune Halo, and actually wanted in play to protect myself from the burn spells, and I'm only on 7, so I'll want my Rune Halo to stick around. And at this point, he needs his cryptic commands to get out of this and that's why I'm going to go through his graveyard a million times during the game. This is probably very annoying for the viewer, because, well, the only thing you see the players doing is just check their opponent's graveyard, hands, lands, and everything. But when you play, it's very hard to keep track of all these things. The judges there, they ask you to keep playing fast, but taking notes all the time, it's just messy. And my handwriting is not actually very good, so whatever notes I take, they usually end up being not readable. So now any bolt he draws, Lightning Helix or Lightning Bolt, is not going to do anything.
That Snapcaster Mage in play for Raphael Levy, in principle, can get stuck in and maybe deal a little bit of damage here. Though each of these decks, as you so rightly noted, Simon.
So yeah, my hand is, at this point, my hand is literally nothing. Like I have 2 Path to Exile that's not gonna do anything. Count them, that's probably not gonna do much. The Tension Sphere that can play on the Search, but that's pretty much it. I don't have much here. So this time I attack first, like exactly for that reason, because if he wants to Path to Exile my Snapcaster Mage, I want to be able to scry and keep cards on top. So it's a little point to keep in mind. And also, if I want to destroy land here, I have to do it before I play my Serum Visions. So I don't plan on destroying anything, since I'm targeting the white mana. I need another Spreading Seas, and he has 2 red mana, so I don't want to target them either.
That he needs this Lightning Helix should he ever be able to cryptic command bounce the Ruined Halo, and that these 3 damage to.
So I'm not planning to use the Field of Ruins yet, and put 2 cards on top.
Now, is there anything to be considered in this kind of a control matchup for potentially one player running the other out of cards entirely?
It's possible, but it's not very likely. I think it's
so Simon here suggests that it's not likely that we get to deck. Well, it's a little more likely than you think, Simon. Another Search. Well, this one I think it's fine. I don't care too much. And here's the first win condition I actually draw. I had a Snapcaster Mage, but that was sure it would not go the distance. Gideon, without any backup, is I just need to play the threats, because I don't have enough counter spells to back my threats up. And if I wait for my counter spells, PV was gonna draw. If I waited for more counter spells, PV was gonna draw more of them. So there was no reason for me to wait more. If it's in play, then I get a counter, then I get a token, and it probably dies some way. Maybe I don't know how, but if it's there, it's probably there to like. It might be a win condition. It might go all the way. It's unlikely, but it might go all the way. With the Rune Halos in play, he cannot target me with Helix or Bolt. That means he cannot damage Gideon with direct damage.
Paolo is setting up for another Logic Knot. Very versatile counterspell, though. At some point, are there key cards that
and he sees that he needs to keep the cryptic commands in his graveyard. Otherwise, he won't have enough resources to deal with all my Rune Halos and stuff.
That he will always be able to keep, you know.
So I think he's doing it for 6.
He knows he has a Lightning Helix in hand, so if he ever
or for 9.
Lightning Helix,
I think it's for 9, and he wants me to crack my fetches.
Just the 3 remaining cards in the graveyard after a big Logic Knot coming.
And I think that's suspicious. And I think I decide to not pay, because if I do pay, I'm gonna take a lot of damage, and I might just lose on that turn. At 7, I'm still not at range of 2 burn spells, of 2 bolts, for example, if he bounces one of them. At 7, I'm still fine. And that's why this is a complicated decision.
Those cards are not what you are looking for in this matchup. So the average draw varies widely in being super powerful.
And I think I decided not to play this one.
Or being almost dead, like Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, I mean Supreme Verdict.
If I decided to fetch twice, he would probably have played the second Logic Knot. So it felt like there was something wrong, and he might have had mana leak as well. So that's also what I had in mind. So I could have fetched and paid for the Logic Knot, and then he would have played mana leak, and in that case I would have lost life, and I would have lost my Gideon. And I can still play around mana leak. So
This is the first Celestial Colonnade we've seen all game.
So now Search is going to mill some cards, and now there's going to be something pretty interesting coming up. So now I decide to attack because, well, I don't have anything else to do. And here's where Paolo makes a small mistake, which is letting me actually attack. Because there's no reason for him to let me attack, because of this exact reason. And then I take 1 white mana to condemn on Colonnade. So what happened was,
That's a really nice play.
I need the life to get out of range of his burn spells in case he bounces one of my Helix or Bolt, or one of my Rune Halo on the Helix or Bolt. And at this point he could have played the second pass to exile. He would have been more vulnerable to another Colonnade or Vendilion Click. But I think that was a risk to take. I gained 4 life, and that proved to be extremely relevant later in that game. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm going to deck him, but I don't want him to know that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm not canning his deck until the last moment, until the moment I think that's gonna be my plan. He has milled a lot of cards for with Search for Azcanta, so I'm fairly sure I'm ahead, but I want to know how much ahead and how much time I have to play my spells, and if I can play my if I can resolve my Ancestral Vision on myself without being behind on library. But I think at this point he has like 25 and I have 22 or something, or 21. I'm safe with the Ancestral Vision. I can safely draw and still be ahead on library. So now he plays Snapcaster Mage, and my question is, do I want to counter the Snapcaster Mage, or do I want him to target Cryptic Command first and remove an exile Cryptic Command from his graveyard? I decide to go for Cryptic Command and draw. he didn't want to fight on this one, so I'm not exactly sure what he has in hand at this point. But maybe he just didn't want to fire his cryptic command yet, because if he bounced my Ruined Halo on Lightning Helix, he would only be able to fire one Lightning Helix until I played Ruined Halo again. So he didn't want to fight on this one, and that's why I'm not sure playing my cryptic command was the best play. But I get to not kill his Snapcaster Mage. Here's something I'm not sure he should have done. Attacking with Celestial Colonnade, he may be very sure that I have a lot of Path to Exile in my hand. I don't think I played one yet. So he lets me resolve the Ancestral Vision. And then I get to draw my third Spreading Seas. And I still have enough cards in my deck to play Spreading Seas and still be ahead on library. What I'm writing down in my pad is not life totals, but it's actually the cards in library, to make sure I'm not. This is perfect information. I don't want to blow it. So here I'm playing Serum Visions before my Spreading Seas. I'm writing down, okay, one less card in my deck. Do I want the Celestial Colonnades on top? Paolo is still on 16, so it's gonna be hard to beat him with the Celestial Colonnade. I need Gideon, more counters, but not Celestial Colonnade. This is not my my plan. And on top here I leave Snapcaster Mage, which is gonna be a counter spell, and Ancestral Visions. Ancestral Vision will be extremely relevant in a couple turns, because that's gonna be my way to win. I don't need to play the Spreading Seas yet. I want him to attack me first, because feels like it's his line to attack me with the Celestial Colonnade. So I want him to attack me so I can path the Colonnade and destroy another white source. And at this point I don't think PV is very worried about cards in the deck. So now he left the card on top, and I think I'm going to destroy it with Field of Ruins, because I don't want him to draw that card. Something I should have done earlier in that game that I mentioned.
What we could also see is that one of these players at some point decides that the game is unwinnable based on the void states or the cards that are in.
Alright, so he does it again, and that's also one less card in his deck, so.
But they have somehow figured out that they have no win conditions left and that they won't be able to do
another cryptic command. That's not good news for me, but in that case, in that game, I know he's going to draw all his cards. Like, he's going to play all his cryptic commands, all his Snapcaster Mages. I just have to make sure I don't die. And at this point, I think PV feels pretty good about not losing this game, because he has 3 counter spells and I don't have any way to win. And he's relying heavily on his Secure the Waste, which could go the distance if he drew it like right away, right now. But he's gonna be worried about my counter spells, since I also just drew 3 cards. And he needs to play Secure the Waste and kill me on the same turn. He can't just let me untap in Wrath of God. Oh, I write down 1 less because of Serum Visions.
Preferably, of course, with cards like Path to Exile. Then we will see a final turn, maybe just before decking actually, where PV will try to bounce one of the Halos, protect his cryptic command.
And Simon is mentioning the bounce Halo plan, which is what I'm a little worried about, but not so much. I'm still on 11, and he will need to Snapcaster his burn spells instead of his cryptic commands, so I'm not exactly worried about that plan. So at this point I'm counting again just to make sure I'm safe with the Spreading Seas. There's so much going on during the turns that it's hard to keep track of the cards drawn, especially when he plays Serum Visions, he fetches, I destroy land with Search of with Field of Ruin, so I get a land from my deck. So there's a lot of different things going on. And I find the plains. So now he has no source of white here. And I keep my other Spreading Seas for the... I have another... Yeah, I keep my last Spreading Seas for an eventual other source of white. At this point, I'm fairly sure he does not have another source of white in his deck. He doesn't have any more basics, and I don't think he plays Sacred Foundry. So I draw another counter in the form of negate, and I can attack here, but I don't feel like it. It's too little time left, and attacking is very unlikely to deal damage. So it could have won me the game here, but as I mentioned also earlier, it's hard to make the calculation to see if tapping 6/5 mana here is going to cost me the game. So I'm gonna pass the turn here. I'm worried about what he would do if he bounces one of my Ruined Halo, and that's going to dictate what I'm gonna do with my Ruined Halo in the next couple turns. So yeah, I counter at this point. Counter again just to make sure I have enough cards to draw. Like I'm thinking about bouncing one of my enchantments, but I'll just counter draw. So I have to discard probably a mass removal here. Another, I think it's probably one of the last source of white. At this point I could have destroyed it, but I chose not to because because I was worried about another Forest Canta, but I think I should have destroyed it. So I have enough counter spells now. I don't want to attack with Colonnade because I have so many ways to protect my plan here. I don't want to go overboard. I want to be able to be logic not proof and be able to counter everything else. So I do not want to attack. Another Tension Sphere, pretty useless here. So PV drew his Secure the Waste, but he can't play it without backup. He doesn't want me to counter it, because if he does it for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I counter with like anything, he has to Snapcaster Mage, Secure the Waste again, and play it. So he wants it to be lethal when he plays it. So now it's only he would only put me down to 2. And PV does a very good job at baiting me into countering his cryptic commands, bouncing my Ruined Halos, because, well, he doesn't actually have that much burn spell. So I could just allow it to resolve. That wouldn't do too much either. So I Snapcaster Mage my own Cryptic Command. And now I have the choice of countering Cryptic Command and bouncing my Snapcaster Mage, or just drawing. But I think this is a little confusing because there's a lot of things going on. So I decided to counter the Cryptic Command and bounce my my Snapcaster Mage. It's very unlikely my Snapcaster will be bounced, and maybe I should have decided to draw instead. But I have so many cards that I don't know if that was going to be relevant. I do have all my my basic lands in play, and if for any reason I get to draw Gideon and have to attack with Gideon, then I want the Path to Exiles to be gone. Alright, so I think that's PV's the last two white sources.
Could be one of his paths to victory as he is looking to find a way of getting the right side of the clock in terms of players running out of cards.
Absolutely. And now
So at this point I can destroy the white mana. I think that that's gonna be my plan here. He still doesn't have lethal for the secure the waste.
Is Raph going to be able to deal with that over and over again? And I think PV has done a tremendous job of running Raph to...
So I don't really care about it, but still I'm going to
This is, I think, the key
I'm going to try to counter. I'm pretty sure he has ways to back it up. So now the one of the many, checking your exile zone, checking your graveyard. There's a lot of this going on because it's just too hard to keep track. And with the game with only 15 minutes left or 10 minutes left, it's just too complicated to remember everything. And the slightest mistake can cost you the game. So here we go. And now PV's depleting most of his graveyard because I have so many lands in play that he cannot play his Logic Knot without using a lot of his resources. I don't know exactly for how much he went, but I think I cannot afford to play to pay. At this point I do not have a land to fetch with my Flooded Strands. Alright, so Cryptic Command is going to resolve on his side, and he's going to bounce, I think, one of the halos.
Also a relatively low single-digit number at this point, and that means that Logic Knot.
But that's also the fourth Cryptic Command. That means he doesn't have any in hand, and that's extremely relevant for the rest of this game and the way I'm going to play it. So a path in response, and I'm going to destroy the colonnade. So now he's left with one source of whites.
You can see nicely that PV actually has all 4 Cryptic Commands in his graveyard, or maybe in the graveyard and exile zone, I would assume.
At this point, PV can decide to bounce either Rune Halo
in the amount of hard counters,
or one of his lands with Spreading Seas. Unless he's not scared about the last Spreading Seas in the deck, that's going to take care of the last land, of the last white source.
hard counter more than Raph, basically.
I would love to have Brian David Marshall interviewing Paulo Vitor Amoroso at the end of this match.
So he decides to go for the Halo, and
at what point he started to work on this game plan, because it feels to me like we're watching.
And hopefully, well, he wants to Lightning Helix me, but at this point,
Turn after turn after turn in this game.
I know he only has one white sword, one white mana, so I'm not exactly worried about Lightning Helix anymore. So he can only cast one Helix. So let's say he tries to he counter my Halo. He can only cast one Helix a turn. That means he cannot 6/9 me in one turn. He cannot play Helix, Snapcaster, Helix you again, and Helix you if he has 2.
So we see Rune Halo briefly being used to bounce. Rune Halo briefly.
So at this point, my main plan is to deck him, and I play Gideon in hope I can bait a counter spell, but he doesn't have. He doesn't want to kill it. So I feel like my Rune Halo, my next Rune Halo is gonna work.
6 to 5 in terms of cards left in deck, and Raphael Levy willing to make it.
As soon as I have an opportunity, I'm going to play. The thing is, I do not want both of my Halos gone. So if he has a Snapcaster or another Cryptic, well, a Snapcaster for a Cryptic, he was going to counter my Halo and bounce my my Rune Halo, leaving me without any Halo in play. So that's why I'd rather have him kill my Gideon than counter my first Halo, my second Halo. I want to be able to secure them, and that's why I'm playing it this way. So now I'm playing the last Spreading Seas on his last white mana. So now Secure the Waste is not even an option anymore. It's not going to be too much of an option. So he takes white mana. I'm pretty sure he's gonna Helix me. This time I'm gonna get into my attack step. He Helixes me, okay. But now I'm not too worried about. Now if he wants to counter my my next Halo and bounce my other Halo, then I can play it again on my turn. So I'm gonna have one either way. So now since he hasn't countered one of my Gideons, I'm playing the second Halo. And since he doesn't have white mana, I'm not going to call Lightning Helix. Because if he really wants to target me with Lightning Helix, he needs to bounce his land. So the only card I'm really worried about is Lightning Bolts, and he can play a couple of bolts on the same turn. So by calling the second Lightning Bolt, by calling Lightning Bolt with the second Rune Halo, I'm protecting myself from any burn. Or if he has burn, I will see it coming. And now since I don't have any counter, I don't have anything left, I can just attack with the Colonnade.
Lightning Bolt is the spell that you can actually cast. Rather than setting up a situation.
I have another Path to Exile in hand, I have a blocker. It feels like, now that I look at it, it was a little risky to attack, because with the Cryptic Command, tap all my guys, attack with Snapcaster Mages, it might have been critical here. And I could have kept Celestial Colonnade up to just block. But I have a Path to Exile and a Knight. So I'm still fine with this.
5 minutes left on the clock as well. This has been a gargantuan game one here. Two giants of the game, both playing control, and I mean, there's been things going on.
So now PV makes a crucial mistake by bouncing my Spreading Seas instead of his Glacial Fortress. But 5 minutes left, you don't have much time to think. So what's going on in PV's mind is that we are 5 minutes. We have just the same number of cards in the decks, and if I want to play Spreading Seas, then he will deck me. However, he missed the point. He missed the line of Ancestral Vision saying target players draws a card. Or maybe he hasn't. Maybe he just missed the bounce the land. But in his mind, I'm pretty sure he was thinking, I cannot play Spreading Seas anymore. And that's where it feels like I made a mistake by attacking, because now he can just Logic Knot and tap me out, and my Path to Exile is not going to resolve, and he's going to be able to attack me for 2, putting me down to 6 at range of double Lightning Helix or double Lightning Bolt. But I'm protected from Bolt, and he only has one white mana.
Take out a 2/2 Knight if you
So
want.
I'm on 6 now.
Levy's at 6.
Don't forget to tick down my Ancestral Visions. And now I drew something extremely good in that situation. At this point, I do not know what PV has in hand. I can imagine he has a counter, a bolt, removal, but I don't know exactly what he has. He probably has Secured Away somewhere in his deck, but by now he should have found it, so he might just have it in his hand. So now my plan is to, well, play my Vendilion Click main phase. I'm not waiting for his turn, because if he has a white card, I will know what it is, and also, if he doesn't have much, I can attack for lethal very soon, because I can attack with both Colonnades, Gideon, and my Knight, and that would be 8, 13, 15, that would be 15 damage. So I almost have lethal on board. And if I don't, I might just win next turn. So there's a lot of things to be done here.
He will be able to at least increase his chances in drawing.
So here we go.
His trump card.
So is it better in response to this Vendilion click to allow the Vendilion click to put a secure the waste on the bottom of his deck than it is to cast it?
So Tim here has a very good point here. So he's saying that instead of casting Logic Knot a Secure the Waste here, he can let it resolve, make me put Secure the Waste on at the bottom, and then fetch to find it back. However, I have a Spreading Seas in my hand, and I can target the last one, the last white source. It's not gonna come down to life total if I manage to shut down Secure the Waste entirely for the rest of the game. So what he's thinking now is he doesn't have, with all the spells that have been played this game, he doesn't have enough cards in the graveyard to actually counter a Vendilion click with his Logic Knot and be able to play Secure the Waste. So he's going to make a play, a bait play, to make me tap everything but 3 lands, so I don't have enough to cast my Supreme Verdict. At this point, maybe he can just Cryptic. He can just play Snapcaster Mage for his Cryptic command and bounce one of his planes and counter my Vendilion click. Counter bounce one of his lands, and then be able to play his Secure the Waste the turn later. So the time has been called, and I have 2 extra turns to win. 2 extra turns is exactly what I need to resolve one of my Ancestral Visions, and he only has 5 cards in his deck. So if that resolves, I most likely win. He doesn't look like he has ways to hard counter my spells, especially with 2 cards in hand. So now he does it for 9, leaving me with 3 untapped lands. And this is complicated for me because this game is 1 on board. I'm pretty sure I have it, but I don't want to blow it. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to pay 9 and keep 3 untapped, and that should be good enough? And especially since if it resolves, I get to see his hand, and I'm thinking of what could possibly beat me with 2 cards during my turn that I can't deal with. And with the Vendilion click, that's going to resolve. If that's another counter spell, that's fine, because there's no combination of card that kills me. So that's where the judges get a little worried that I take too much time. Even though PV took a lot of time as well, I think we both get a slow play warning here. But look at this board. There are about 20 permanents on each side, and it's just too much information. Just too much going on. The human brain is not supposed to keep that active in the active memory. I check everything. I check how many Lightning Helix, how many Bolts, how many Cryptic Commands, how many cards in the deck, how many lands, how many cards. This is a lot of information. At this point, the brain just works as a computer that's been running for hours and a million tasks at the same time. So I finally make up my mind. I think I pay 9 and I keep 3 mana. It's very easy from if you are at home and trying to see what could possibly happen. Say, oh, just pay 9 and you win. It's not that easy when you're in a feature match after 15 minutes of play. So he plays it for 6. That does not, I don't think that even kills me. So he would have 6, he would have 8 creatures. Oh, that would actually kill me. Unless I have my Detention Sphere, which I do. But the Bolt, he didn't keep 1 up for Bolt because well, he wouldn't have a lethal otherwise. If he would have had like 5 warriors and 2 Snapcaster Mages, I would have had 2 blockers. I would have taken 5 going down to a 1. So he had to tap out, and the Bolt to counter, pretty much counter my Detention Sphere. He just wouldn't have had the red mana to do it. So at this point I don't have much to do. Just have to say, sure, keep your Bolt because it doesn't do anything. You don't have red mana, especially since he just fetched. So I know he doesn't have any red mana. He doesn't have any land, so I can destroy all the tokens here. And now I'm pretty sure I'm safe because he has only 1 Bolt, and there's no way there's a card that, along with a Bolt, wins the game here. So I don't have much to do. I'm even thinking of attacking here, but yeah, that's just not worth it.
Still on suspend seemed to be the most obvious path to victory here for Raph
PV still has a white source, so if he can find another Snapcaster Mage.
So yeah, am I attacking now? Probably not, because that's not. It's not actually my. Oh, even. Oh, I'm sorry. So even the secure 4/6 would not have been enough because I would have had an extra blocker. So I wouldn't even have died next turn. Or maybe yes, with the bolts, if he bolts one of my blockers. Oh yeah, that would have won. Sorry, never mind. That would have won in the game because you could just block. You could just bolt one of my blockers. Attack for 6 plus 2 Snapcaster Mages. So now he's on 12. I'm on 6. I have Ancestral Visions that's lethal, and I also have damage lethal. So even without the Ancestral Visions, I have lethal damage on the board. I just want to make sure I'm not losing this game. So I know exactly what I have left in my deck. I have 1 Snapcaster Mage left, and I'm gonna look for it. There's no way I can deck myself because I only have 1 more turn to play. So, and even then, even if I had 0 card, I would still have been able to resolve my Ancestral Vision. So I'm actually stacking my whole deck because I only have 2 cards left. I'm going to play the. So now I'm gonna play my Spreading Seas to get the card I want, because there was 1 in 3 chances I would draw my Snapcaster Mage. It was not there, so I'm just going to draw it with my Spreading Seas.
If you just don't cast that Serum Visions, you can cast Spreading Seas and just.
And someone missed that line at this point, which shows how hard the covering a game like this is. So I play Spreading Seas. Now I'm sure he's never going to. Okay, so now I'm happy with the white mana. I draw first. I know he's never going to play Secure the Waste again. And even if he has a Secure the Waste in hand now, I can just Raph and kill him next turn. So now I'm going to get to my attack step. Now I have a counter spell backup. He has 2 cards, including 1 very useless Snapcaster Mage. I have 6 mana to play my Cryptic Command, my Snapcaster Cryptic Command. So I'm just gonna make sure I kill him next turn. All right, so I activate my Colonnade attack for 7. And now I put him on the. I can kill him. I can kill him with the creatures. I can kill him with the deck. It's just I'm just going through the motions here because there's no way I'm losing this game at this point. But just with style, it's just so satisfying to win with Ancestral Vision. Here we go, Ancestral Vision targeting you, and that was the game. Well, I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough through this extremely tense and long game of Modern, and I'll see you around. Bye.